Okay, it's the 25th of July. It's a Friday. We've got about 30 minutes to the NY Open. Just give me a second. We'll start in a bit. Okay, where are we? All right, let's start with the calendar. There's nothing today, no news today. Um, yeah, there's nothing today. Next week is the last week of the month, but since NFP is on Friday, next Friday, I also consider it the first week of August, right? Now we have interest rate decision next week, and we also have 30 minutes after that is the FOMC meeting minutes. So both of those are very volatile news events. And then obviously NFP is on Fridays, and that too obviously is a very volatile news event. Okay, so we can expect some volume next week. We've had decent volume this week, but we can expect even more volume next week. So if you go by comparison to this week to next, we've had decent volume this week. We could have even better volume next week. So if you just look at the data, we've been doing about 400. We're averaging about almost 500 pips a day. That's excellent, right? There's been a lot of volume. If you just look at the daily candles, right? Look at these daily candles. 575, 500, 563, 417, and we're still moving 300. Yeah, got to move, right? So averaging about 500 pips a day, that's excellent. We should see some volume today as well. And then maybe right off the bat invite session, or maybe later on towards the London close around 11 a.m., 11:30 a.m. IST. Okay, so let's try to we do this every Friday, where I try to do a weekly candle prediction of how the weekly candle will close. Let's go to the weekly time frame. We've already flipped bearish, right? Now, it's very likely that this weekly candle is going to continue bearish, right? We've already done 1,000 pips on this candle. If you compare that to the previous week, that's a lot more than the previous week. The previous week was about 650 pips. We've already crossed 1,000 pips this week. Okay, so it is almost it's you know the it is certain, almost certain, or it is certain that this candle is not going to go and close bullish, right? It's not going to go up there and close above 3,400. That's not going to happen, right? That's why it's not going to close above this resistance that it has on the weekly time. We formed new resistance. You can see right here at around 3367, we formed new resistance. It's unlikely that price is going to go and close bullish above that new resistance that it's formed, right, around 3367. It's more likely that price continues bearish and we close a strong weekly bearish candle. We've had a heavy rejection of 3430, right? It's happened here in the past as well. You can see a clear rejection here, and price closed. The last time it did that, we tapped that a wick. We closed, the weekly candle closed below 3332, and that's what I'm expecting for a weekly candle close below 3332, right? Now, two scenarios for that. We can have the weekly candle can close below 3332, just like it did here. We could close below, or we could close above, right? Those are the two predictions that I have for the weekly candle: a close below 3332, or a close above it. If for price to close above it, it would very likely then close a doji, where price would continue to push down, grab liquidity, and then push back up and close at 332. In that scenario, let's see what the daily candle should do. So if it is to close above 3, so we could push further down, grab liquidity maybe deeper inside this. We drew this green rectangle yesterday. We've been watching it for the last few days because I said that it is a decision level. And the reason this green rectangle is important is because it's taken out opposing supply, daily supply. You have a drop, a base, a 5 base candle there, 5 candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a drop. And this demand zone has taken out that supply. Therefore, this on the high time frame, this is a decision level. And when I say high time frame, I always refer to either the weekly time frame or the daily time frame. So price could come deeper, push back up, and then close above 3332. In that case, we will have a bearish doji candle. That's the first scenario, right? So for how can we make use of that as a session trader? If price pushes down and starts to create 30-minute support from a liquidity level deep inside here, we have liquidity levels. When I go to the trading chart, you'll see those levels. If we look for candle structure there and we see 30-minute support form, and candles start to create higher highs and higher lows, break previous candle highs, then we can look to take buys for that move up to complete the weekly candle prediction, where the daily candle will push down and go back up and close above 3332, right? That's the first prediction. The second one is where we close bearish. Price continues to push down, right? And we close below 3332. So we could close towards the bottom end of this green rectangle. That's very possible. And in that case, what would the daily candle have to do? The daily candle would have to get towards possibly push and break a liquidity candle. First, it would have to go past the liquidity candle. So for example, let's go here. Let me just explain what I mean. It would have to break possibly this liquidity candle right here, the bottom end of this, and then push back up, create resistance on the 30-minute time frame, and then continue to push down and close below 3332. Let me repeat that, right? So for the second scenario, where the weekly candle would close strong bearish below 3332, what we can expect from the daily candle is for price to first break a liquidity level, maybe this one here, just below 3332. We tap that or break that, and then we push back up, create 30-minute resistance, and then continue down for the rest of the session, right? So if that happens, then the weekly candle is going to close strong bearish below 3332. That's the weekly. Those are the two weekly predictions, right? We're going to. I've explained them very clearly. I'm going to repeat them again now. All right. Let's go to our trading chart. Was there a trade yesterday? There was one from here. There was a sell from here. I was not willing to take it. I wanted to take one up here, and that's exactly what happened. Price came up here, but it formed resistance here. So this is outside I was not at the chart at this time, so I was not able to take this trade. And even if I did take the trade, I would very likely have closed it because price just ranged all the way until the Asian session today. And only then it started to drop from this candle right here, right? We came back to the candle, and only in the Asian session did we drop over 330 pips. So the setup did work out. I said let's wait for price to pull back closer to the EMAs. I said this, if you go watch the first 10 minutes of the stream, this is what I was expecting, and that is why I didn't take out, this is why I didn't take sells here. So price is below the EMAs. Price pulled back into a liquidity candle and tapped, in fact, the Asian low right there. This is the Asian low that we had marked. We tapped the Asian low, formed 30-minute resistance. I was not at the chart to take this trade, and even if I did, I would have very likely closed it because we just ranged for the next, how many hours there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, about 11 hours for range. There was no way that I would have held a trade over 11 hours. That's never going to happen. All right, so let's get rid of all of this and draw our zones again for today. pushing down. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of all of this. We're coming into this liquidity candle, right? Now, it's very likely that we're going to get a reaction here. Very, very likely. We haven't tapped this liquidity candle. Let's look at the 30-minute time frame very quickly. Yeah, we haven't tapped this liquidity candle. We very likely are to get a reaction to push back up. Okay, we'll have to see. I'm always going to have the weekly prediction, how the weekly candle is going to close. I'm going to have that prediction in the back of my mind today. If I'm going to take any trade, that's going to be top and center for me, because that's the play that I want to see, right? Either for price, if it's going to close a week, if you're going to close above 3332, we if you're going to close below, then we pull back, create resistance, and continue down, right? If you're going to close a weak bearish candle above 3332, then we very likely going to push down, and then probably even further down below 3332, and then begin to see 30-minute support to push back up, right? So that's what I'm going to be keeping in mind today. All right, let's start with our zones. Okay, there is supply here. This is an obvious supply zone right here. A drop, 4 basin candles, and a clean drop, right? Clean candles leaving the zone. Let's take a look at it on the 1 hour and the 30 minutes. Since we've crossed 3367, which is a weekly SR level, whenever price does that, I look at the lower time frames to look for a zone. The 1 hour, it's not very clear. Yeah, on the 30-minute, I think we're good. Yeah, it's there, but let's keep it on the 1 hour, on the 4 hour. 373, 743. Let's take a look at that once more. Yeah, it's okay. All right, then we have this zone. Yeah, we've got this supply. Yeah. Again, I would keep it on the 4 hour here. The 1 hour, in fact. Extend this right. And that covers about 480 pips to the upside. That's good enough. Extend the liquidity candle as well. Okay. Okay, let's look at demand. Price is inside this demand, right? Let's extend this to the right. Let's extend the liquidity candle as well. We're going to take a look at this liquidity candle once more. And then we have this demand here. Extend that as well. 4 hour supply here. And this covers about 200 pips to the downside. Should be good. We've done already 348, should be good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this as well. That's what's left of that 4 hour supply. I think it was drawn back in April. No, sorry, it was drawn in the beginning of this month. Yeah, that's good enough. I don't think we need to draw any further. Just maybe. Okay, maybe let's just increase this for next week. There's 1 hour demand there. All right. Now, we have a new supply here. We're going to take a look at this area and see if this is a high liquidity zone. It is a high liquidity zone because it's a big bearish move down. So this supply here has taken out this demand right here. It's a drop and a base and a rally. If you look at the 30-minute time frame, there is a base there. Even on the smaller time frames, there is a base, but there is obviously a drop and a rally. So there is a base there, and this move down has taken out that supply. So this is a high liquidity zone. Okay. All right. Next, let's see. We're going to take a look at the liquidity candle here on the left. But before we do that, let's take a look at this area. This area as well, price has crossed a psychological round number. We need to take a look at this area. Let's go to the 30-minute time frame. Yeah, there is a zone here just under it. Yeah, we've got to mark that. You have to mark that. Let's just close 553, and this open is also 553. This high 928. 553. Okay. The reason for that is price just crossed this, so there is a zone there. Push down, it stopped, created a base, and then continued down, right? Now, let's take a look at this demand zone again. Yeah, let's take a look at this liquidity candle. Before we look at the supply zone liquidity candles, let's take a look at this because that's where price is currently at. Let's start at the 1 hour time frame and move across, and this is the largest candle here, right? This one right here. That's a 229 pip candle. Let's start with that, 229 pips. Let's look at the 30-minute time frame. It's still the same candle. It's across that zone to the left. Let's take a look at the 15-minute time frame. You can narrow it down now. And 15 seems good. Let's take a look at the 5-minute. It's between these two candles. This is 119. That's 124. Yeah, that's no contest there. That's, yeah. We'll have to keep it to the 5-minute. Let's take a look at the 1-minute as well. 716. $91. 91. It's keeping on the 1 minute. 154, 254. Yeah, we've tapped it already. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at this supply here and see if you have a high liquidity candle in there. Just give me a second. Let's start with the 1 hour time frame at that supply zone, 30-minute supply zone. The largest candle would be this. That's a good place to start. Let's look at the 30-minute time frame. Yeah, that candle right there. Just want to see, look left as well. Oh, we've got this candle, beautiful. That liquidity candle is inside this 414 pip candle. Let's look at the 15-minute time frame. Let's look at the 5-minute. $41.50. Let's take a look at the 1 minute. $21, $22, let's say. It's 23. Yeah, I would keep it on the 5-minute. It's not. This 5-minute candle looks better. 059560. Okay, yeah, we've tapped it here. Yeah, perfect. This is a tap. Yeah, right there. All right, let's take a look at this zone up here, and then we go back down and look at this zone here as well. Yeah. Let's start with the 1 hour time frame. It's about 113 pips. Nothing to the left of it. Yeah. 30-minute. 15-minute. Yeah, let's cast the candle. 5-minute. No, nothing on the 5-minute. It's a 15-minute candle. That is 111 pips. That's fine. . Why did price come back here? That's fine. We'll keep it. Use this candle here. Seven two seven six oh seven. 727607. Okay. All right. One more thing. We just need to see if this is a high liquidity zone. Has it taken out anything to the left? Yes, it has. Yeah, we've taken out this demand here. Visible on the 30-minute as well. So this is a high liquidity zone. Is it? One second. Price dropped. Push down 350. What's this low? 44.26. Yeah, this one, this green candle took it out. Yes, it is. Perfect. Okay, done. Demand. Further down here, there is a demand zone here. I'm going to take a look at that area and look for a high liquidity candle in there. And that's this demand zone, this 4-hour demand zone, this drop-based rally, right? To look for a candle in there. Let's go to the 1-hour time frame and look left of that. There is this candle, which is 108 pips. There is this one, which is larger. Okay, let's look at the 30-minute time frame. It's still that candle. You can see how price has tapped it beautifully. That liquidity candle right there. What's this high? 1958. And what's this low? Yeah, it's a 30-minute one. 164016. 164016. Okay. Yeah, no, about 190 pips away from it. Not bad. If you get through this 3332, that's where we're heading. We're coming down here. It's about 100 pip drop, 110 pip drop from 3332. That's why it's so important to have these drawn correctly, because then once price doesn't kind of surprise you, you know where it's heading. If it breaks one liquidity candle, it's going to the next to grab liquidity. You can see how important this is. Price tapped here, pushed up all the way up here, tapped here again, pushed all the way up here, tapped it again, went all the way from here to here. That's 1,270 pips, $127 in change, right? And we're heading back there. That's where we are heading. That's the origin of the move, and that's where price is heading to, right here, 3332 or 3321. That's where we're heading. All right, let's go. This is the NY Open. Just a second. Hmm. Yeah, I don't want to sell inside demand. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the 50-minute time frame and see what price has done in the Asian and London sessions. Okay. Where is the market open? Here. That's the market open. Market opened at 3368. That's the same price. Asian low, London high. In fact, like just prior to Frankfurt session. It's a push down that took price all the way down here. It's a lot of volume in the London session, London Open. Hmm. 352. Sixteen. All right, let's take a closer look at what price has done in the Asian and London session. So in the Asian session, we moved about 100 pips. But in the London session, Frankfurt London session, we moved over 200 pips, double the volume of the Asian session. A lot of bearish volume to push down. Now, let's see what's, we're very likely going to push further down, come back close above the London and continue high. This is a massive range of price to push into. And if that happens, then we're very likely the weekly candle is going to close a bearish doji. No, no. But price is very likely going to push further down. And then I would like to see to trade back into this range at some point. So there's a lot of profit potential here for a trade to go back up. That's what I'd like to see for today. Anyway, all right, let's do a deep dive into this. So we were bearish NY open, and then soon after that we started going bullish and continued bullish for the first half of the NY session, moved about 240 pips, and then we just ranged sideways. We had created a liquidity candle in the London session right there, and price came deep into it and then created 30-minute resistance and went sideways, right? It just dropped, went back up, dropped, went back up. So nothing happened, just went sideways for like, I don't know, maybe like 12 hours. We just went sideways during the first half, well, towards the end of the first half of the NY session, and then all throughout the second half of the NY session, we just went sideways, right? The market opened here. Where is that? Here, right at this candle. This was the market open. Let me just zoom in a bit. The market opened here, just above 3367 weekly SR level, pushed back deeper into the liquidity candle, and the EMA created the Asian high, created 30-minute resistance, and pushed back down to 3367 and closed below it. 15-minute candle closed below, came down, right? Outside the zone, created the Asian low, pushed back up into the liquidity candle here, and then came back down, right? Closed below the Asian low, went further down, came once more, tapped the Asian low and London high at the same price level, created the London high or the Frankfurt high, whatever you want to call it, the European high, and then pushed. Oh, there's a lot of bearish volume. We pushed all the way down. Now, what I want to see is why did we? Let's take a look at the 30-minute time frame for a second. 1 hour. Yeah, that's correct. That liquidity candle is correct. Yeah. Pushed back up, created the London high, came all the way down. 1 second. Yeah, we just ranged there. Yeah, just under the EMAs, and then pushed down and closed below 3350 and came further down, created a liquidity candle on the way down. There is one here on the 5-minute time frame, the one that we drew here. Price closed below it, came back, and then we created the London low, pushed back into the liquidity candle, created 30-minute resistance right there, and then pushed straight to the liquidity candle here on the left, on the demand side, right? And now you've created support here, pre-NY, and we're trying to push back up to this liquidity candle. Let's see, are we going to get a rejection here from the London low to continue down? Either way, I'm not comfortable trading in this, just like yesterday, very similar to yesterday. It's too small. That is just 30 pips, 35 pips, 40 pips, not enough. So what I'm very, very similar to yesterday, right? This is very similar to this area. I'm going to wait for price. We were here, right? This was the candle, right? That's the same NY open candle. It's the NY open candle. I'm going to wait for this to break, right? Wait for it to break. Give me direction, and then let's see what happens. I'm not going to do anything right now. I'm going to wait for this 30-minute candle to close. There's another 19 minutes for the candle to close, and that's what I'm waiting for. Wait for the candle to close. So I'll be looking to take sells. I would or buys. Either of them are okay, right? To me, I'm trying to play the weekly candle close prediction. That's what I'm going to be trying to play today. So if price comes further down, creates support, I'll look to take the buys to go up. If price comes up to grab liquidity to continue down, then I'll look for resistance to take the sell to come down. Either way, I'm not trading in this range. This is a 35, 40 pip range. It's not worth it. Let price break above, right? Just like it did here. You can see this high here. That's very similar to this side. Price broke above that high, went deeper, another 100 pips, created resistance, and then begin to push down, right? So if that happens, that's the trade I want to take. If you go further up, um, just a second. Yeah, if you come up here, excellent. If you come up here, if you push up, come up here, that's the area that I want to take sells from. A tap of the EMAs to come further down. Very similar to what happened yesterday. Tap the EMAs or go even deeper. Maybe tap even the second one. If that happens, the EMAs, the second one will be around here. Tap even the second one and then look to come down. A lot more profit potential on a sell like that. Drop 250, 200 pips, 250 pips, easy. That's a trade I want to take. So nothing right now. I'm not doing anything. I'm not looking to buy here because there's a supply zone right here. It just makes no sense to buy into just 40 pips, 30, 40 pips, and doesn't make sense to sell here when you got a demand zone 30 pips away, right? Price is already in demand. Even if the price pulls back here, I'm not looking to sell. I'm not looking to buy here, and I'm not looking to sell here, right? For me, selling has to be further up towards the EMAs or maybe even towards 3367. Let's see, I don't think it's going to come all the way up there, but you never know. But I'm looking to sell somewhere here. And for buying, I'm looking to buy possibly down here or maybe even below 3222. If we close below and close back above, look to buy for price to go up, right? But deeper in this zone, towards the end, the bottom end of the zone, somewhere here in this area, or even further down here to buy. And for sell, up here, right? In the middle, nothing. I'm not doing anything in the middle. All right, we have about 16 minutes for the candle to close. If you have any questions on anything that I've shared with the analysis or what I'm waiting to see on anything that I discussed before or anything I discussed this week, if you're here on the streams, that is, you can always post a question in the chat. All right, I'll be back in a few minutes. We've got about 14 minutes for the candle to close. I've explained what I'm waiting for, what I'm waiting to see. Priced, I'm looking for either buys from down here or further down here. This would be even better for buys to go up, and for sells from this area, from the EMAs or even further up for sells to come down. And in both those scenarios, what I'm waiting for sells, I'm waiting for 30-minute resistance to form to take the sells to come down. For buys, I'll be looking for 30-minute support to form down here or here, even possibly somewhere here or even here. 30-minute support to form to take the trades to take a buy trade to go up, right? In this between these two zones, I'm not doing anything. All right, I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Yeah, nothing's happening right now. This is still the NY open candle. It's got about 6.5 minutes for the candle to close. As I've explained, I'm not looking to do anything here, right? I'm waiting for a breakout. And that doesn't mean I'm a breakout trader, but I'm waiting for price to break out of a range. That's what it means, right? So there's a range here. Let me quickly show you what I mean. If for any of those who want to see what a range is, right? That's a range. And this range is about 70 pips, 60, 65 pips, I would say. And in that range is a smaller 15-minute range as well, right? So this is why I say that there is no volume. Look at that. Okay. Yeah, that's it. So if you look at the 15-minute time frame, there's a smaller range, but if you look at the 30-minute time frame, it's about a 60 pip range, 65 pip, yeah, 70 pips, 70 pip range. But on the 15, if you look at the 15-minute time frame, you can further divide that into two, and above, that's a 30 pip range above, and about a 30 pip, 35, 40 pip range below, right? So it makes no sense trading in this range. So I want to see price breakout. I want to see price break below, and that doesn't mean I'm going to sell, but I want to see price break below. And then I want to look at what price is going to do, right? Or I want to see price break above this, and then I want to see how the candles are going to close, because I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, if price breaks below this, I'm looking for price to come down further, create maybe 30 minutes support later on, either here or even further down here at this liquidity candle, to push price back up, right? That's the buys I've been looking for. For sells, I want price to break out of this, not to take buys, but for wait to price to break out, come up here, maybe up here, or maybe even further up here, create 30-minute resistance to take the sells to come down, right? That's what I'm waiting for. So that needs to, one of those needs to happen. So price needs to get out of this range for that to happen. keep this on the chart. I'm going to be here for maybe about 20 minutes more. It's a Friday, so I'm going to be here for too long. It's already been an hour, so maybe wait for another 20 minutes and then we'll end the stream. But I've explained very clearly how I anticipate the weekly candle to close, right? I've given out two scenarios. Um, that was done in the first 5 minutes, first 7 minutes of the stream. You can go rewatch that if you need any more clarification on that. Second, we've drawn our zones, and I have very clearly explained what I'm waiting to see on the chart, right? I'm waiting for price to get out of this range. I've drawn the support and resistance levels. There is one right there, there is one in the middle, and there is one below, and price is just stuck right now in between them. Okay, so I want price to get out of this area, either go above, look to take sell somewhere here, or come down, get out of this area, come down to look to take buys, maybe from down here or even further up here. Further down the better, right? And that would happen if it do come down, and if price is to push back up, it's going to happen much later on. I would prefer sells. Right? All the high time frames are pushing down. The weekly is very bearish. We have a heavy rejection. I explained all of this right at the beginning of the stream. We've done about over 1,000 pips already. Heavy bearish movement on the weekly, bearish on the daily, bearish on the 4-hour, bearish on the 1-hour, right? 30-minute, we're ranging. There's no direction 30-minute. Doesn't matter what the 30-minute is doing in terms of direction. Doesn't matter. But on the 1-hour to all the way up to the weekly, we're very bearish, right? So therefore, it just makes sense to look for sells, right? Just like yesterday, there was no buy opportunity. Even though there was a 30-minute support formed here from a liquidity candle, there was no pullback to take these buys, and that makes absolute sense because this was just a pullback to the prevailing trend for price to continue down. And when price did go and create 30-minute resistance, it did pull back. You can see how price pulled back perfectly. It pulled back, in fact, twice. Once in the second half of the New York session yesterday, and then again once in the Asian session this morning before it dropped 330 pips, right? So that structure makes sense. And it all happened inside a liquidity candle, so that all makes sense. And That's what I'm kind of looking for. Obviously not the same thing, but the same idea. Wait for it. Wait for the sells. Just patiently wait for the sells. Wait for the pullback. Wait for the sells, and wait for price to come down. Now later on, towards the end of the day, there can be a pullback to create the weekly candle wick. We've always spoken about this. I spoke about this at the beginning of the stream. Uh, I, I, it's very likely for the weekly candle to create a wick, especially when there is a big bearish move like this. It's very likely for the weekly candle to create a bottom wick so that the next candle can trade into that wick. The next weekly candle, the next week, we can trade back into that range and continue even lower, right? When there is a big push like this. Look what happened here. Huge rejection, huge rejection from 3,500. That was all-time highs, and it created a wick for the next candle to trade into, right? So whenever there is a massive rejection, right, on the weekly time frame especially, and even in the daily time frame, there's a massive rejection from a key area, a key level, and I explained why this is important. All of that was done. I'd done that throughout the week. Okay, so if it does create that, then it's very likely that it's going to create a bottom wick. And if it's going to create a bottom wick for the next week to trade into, then we can trade that bottom wick, that weekly bottom wick. We can trade that wick, which means price is going to go up, and that means there is a session trade there to take to create that weekly bottom wick, right? So that is why I say below 3332, if price pushes down, maybe down to this area, creates support, then and we get, as soon as we get there, we create support and we get a pullback, then we look to take the trade to go up to create that bottom wick, right? And we could be going up all the way up to 3,500, could get about 150, 200 pips out of that trade to go up, right? So that's what I'm going to be looking for buys there or sells up here, right? So uh, I, I prefer sells, but buys would work too if it plays out according to what I have planned. If price does that, then and if I see those candles, then I'll look to take those buys. 15 minutes more for the candle to close. Nothing's happening right now. We're back in this range. We broke out and came back immediately back into the range. Yeah, it's nothing happening. Pushing down 10 minutes for the candle close. Okay, going to end the stream now. Nothing is happening yet. There will be a trade today. Very likely there'll be a trade today, but it might happen later on. Now I've explained exactly. I'm not going to go over everything again. And if you watch the first 10 minutes of the stream, I've explained two predictions for the weekly candle. Um, I'm not going to go over all of that again. You can watch the first 10 minutes, first 7 minutes, in fact, of the stream. And then if you just watch the last 10 minutes or the last 15 minutes of from now, you'll see what I said in terms of what I'm expecting to happen. So I'm expecting for buys maybe further down here or even somewhere here, 30 minutes support to form and for price to push up. Um, the buys are less favorable, but still they can happen because it depends on which prediction of the two is going to play out for the weekly candle, and then sells from up here, right? If you push up here, create 30-minute resistance, look to take the sells down, right? I'm not doing anything inside this range. In this range, I'm not doing anything, right? This is about a 70 pip range. I'm not doing anything there. It's either outside of that, up here, or it's down here. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not doing anything here. Because price is very, very slow here. I don't want to, there is no room. If I take sells, there's hardly any room. We are in demand already, right? And if I take buys here, there's hardly any room. We're coming back into the range and price can slow down. So I wanted to break out, either break up or I want to clean break down and then look at price action, look at how candles close, and then look to take a trade as per the weekly candle prediction. All right, so that's the end of the stream. Um, there will be a setup, right? One of those two setups will play out. We just have to be patient and wait. It could be very likely after the 4-hour candle close. The 4-hour candle has about an hour to close. Wait for the 4-hour candle to close. I would just say wait patiently for the 4-hour candle to close. That's about an hour from now. I'm not going to be doing anything until then. In an hour, I'll come back and check the charts and see which of those two scenarios are likely to play out, and then depending on that, take a trade. Don't overtrade, don't over risk. It's a Friday. If you haven't been in profit this week, today is not the day to try to make up for those losses. Okay, don't do that on a Friday. And next week is going to be big. We can expect it to be big. The average daily range has been about 500 pips per day this week. For a no news week, it's been about 500 pips per day. So just going off this, we can expect volume next week, right? Next week is a very volatile week. There's a lot of high impact news events coming out. Interest rate decision, the FOMC meeting minutes on the same day, and then NFP on Friday, right? So there's a lot of high impact news events. So we can expect decent volume next week, right? So if you don't get a trade today, don't worry about it. Wait for next week. All right. Have a great weekend. See you guys on Monday, 7:30 a.m. 7:30 a.m. on Monday. All right. Take care.